that have these up and running. They're running very smoothly. They have the cooperation of law enforcement. And maybe I think, we need a little bit more education about why marijuana has efficacy in certain kinds of illnesses.
I think last time I read Dixon's ordinance, which basically disallows any sale of in any retail establishment of anything that's a violation of state or federal law. And I was ready to introduce that 45 days ago, and I'll be glad to do that in any given day that you want to do it. So I would actually think it would be wiser for us to hold that off and avoid being drawn into some of these legal challenges that are proceeding against other communities who have adopted that ordinance until those are over. And so I'm speaking in favor of the staff recommendation.
And if I could, Supervisor Seifert's suggestion was more palatable than mine.
So is that a second to Linda's then? And withdrawal of yours?
No.
So I have three motions and no seconds yet, huh? Well, to get things moving, I'll second Supervisor Reagan's motion, and that's to take staff's recommendation. With that, please vote.
Motion fails by a 3-2 vote. Supervisor Candelas and Supervisor Seifert voting no.
If I could give you some of the
what comes next,
the time frames that we're looking at here. Like I said, there's this Court of Appeal case that they've had oral argument in already. We expect a decision, given their 90-day deadline, of probably middle of January, and that should give us some better indication of whether local prohibition is appropriate under existing law or not. Once we have that decision, we'd like a month or so to put a draft ordinance together, or possibly a couple draft ordinances together. Those would need to go to Planning Commission if you decided to handle this as a land use matter rather than permitting through the Sheriff's Department. So roughly middle of February, probably late February, we could take it to Planning Commission, and they would hold public hearings and prepare a report and recommendation for this board to consider. And so that puts it into March at the earliest before the matter could come back to the board for consideration. And there may be a variety of ordinances, various suggestions for the board to consider at that point.
Why do we have to wait? There are medical marijuana dispensaries up and running right now. They didn't have to wait for court decisions. That's why this board's put it off for 2 years, 3 years, because it was either this lawsuit or that lawsuit. And I'm thinking about a close friend of mine who died of cancer, painfully, miserably. The only thing that made her life have any quality at all was the fact that she smoked marijuana during that time. Only she had to go out and buy it illegally. And that put a burden on her. I don't think that's right, and I don't think it's fair. And we need to step up to the plate and figure out, if Oakland can do it, we can do it.
Mike, you have a question?
Is there anything in state law that compels us to sell any other commodity that's illegal under federal law?
Well, as Gary indicated, you can't really sell it. You can dispense it.
So you couldn't
and we
assess
don't
a
have
sales
a provision
tax on
that
something that you
describes,
can't sell, right?
We don't have a provision that describes how to do that. We only have a section that says, and it only exists in Cordelia, that you could have a pharmacy. We don't even have development standards for that pharmacy. You've got other areas where liquor stores, if you want to go the route of liquor stores, where liquor stores are allowed. And we have guidelines, including a whole slew of requirements from the state and the local ordinances for those. We don't have anything for a dispensary for this particular commodity. We're not saying that we wouldn't come back with something that would allow it, but we don't have anything. So, and we have no applications pending, so I do want to make sure you're clear on that. We have 3 cities who've banned it. You serve 420,000 people. 15,000 live in the unincorporated area, and 3 of your cities have banned it. The other 6, or the other 4 haven't taken action, which means in theory you could get a dispensary in one of those. Why there aren't, we don't know. And we're not aware of any that have been permitted in Solano. But what we do know is you only have a few areas where conceivably you might consider them. Cordelia, Homeacres, Benicia Road, Mencus Corner, Rockville Corner, Elmira. Most of the other areas you have are residential. If you think about what's in those little areas right now, I think it would be appropriate for us to give you some sort of guidelines, which is what staff has been attempting to do. I have looked at what's coming out of the Humboldt area, what's came out of Oakland. Oakland doesn't work quite the same. It's a city. It's inside the municipality. They had all kinds of rules for liquor stores, adult bookstores, and they do have restrictions as to the physical separations. Ours is a little different, and staff, it's not the only assignment we have. So, I mean, I understand you don't like 22 months. 6 months would have been perfect. I think that gets us past the court case and gives us a chance to adjust. We have positions pending before the board for reductions in the next 2 months, and we're trying to finish up a number of other priority projects you've given us. If that isn't sufficient and you want us to come back sooner, we're willing to attempt to come back sooner. And as I said, if we're not ready, then you'll have to give us some additional time based on what we've seen, or you can at least give us direction based on what we've put together.
And that's exactly why we need a special sales tax on this, to be able to pay for a monitor or inspection or whoever it is to make sure that we have the money to be able to pay somebody to regulate whatever is going on. Well, Oakland's collecting 18%.
Yeah, we're going to have to look at how they're doing that when there isn't a transaction of sale. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think it takes 6 months to find that out. I think you can go on the Oakland website and find out.
Okay.
Just for clarification, this failed, and so 2 was direct staff to perform additional research and prepare an ordinance. I'm assuming you're not going to do that. What direction are you being given? I mean, that's failed. So
well, our assumption
why do
is
you go forward doing anything at all?
Well, we have 2 choices. The most obvious is that what is on the books today is in effect, and if we get an application, we have to process it, and it'll be appealed most likely by that community, and this board will get to provide direction when it comes before you.
What vote will that take? Is that
That'll be a majority vote.
Simple majority?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. If that's wherever Linda want to go, I think that's where it'll end up, and that's fine with me. I'm satisfied with that. I just that's fine. I can count 3.
Okay.
I can count lawsuits.
That's fine too.
That's college.
Well, you had an opportunity to avoid that.
So, board appointments. There's a motion for 13 and 14?